The 70s and 80s passed by and the roads were dominated by small, fuel-efficient cars. But in the early 90s, the spirit of the GT began to stir. A new generation of designers and engineers, reared on the GT legend, were beginning to rekindle the fire.
With the product design area, which I run here, every time there is wind of any new product like that, the designers just get stuck straight into it. It's important that we show, as soon as we possibly can, the visuals or the ideas that we're trying to come up with. We're the ones that set the feel for it and start generating the real excitement, because you only need 1 or 2 images just to set the scene. And the question is, well, why not bring the GT back again? So the one thing that we can do very well is sketch, and we can come up with some really neat ideas. So without any prompt from anybody, we would go ahead and develop and sketch all of these neat ideas. And I'd say between ourselves and Tickford, we generated the want, the desire for another GT Falcon.
Steve Park is not only a top car designer, he's also recognised as an accomplished automotive artist. His works of older cars have become collector's items. But Steve doesn't always look to the past for inspiration, for he is a man with a vision of the future.
One of the first things to do when just sketching is to really capture the overall proportion. That means you put your wheels in, your silhouette from a side view perspective. You can get a little bit of detail with the wheels so you know what you're looking at. The rest of the detail comes a little bit later. So it's really from a blank sketch, it's silhouette, get the basic proportions in there and begin your detail from that point.
Although not Steve's baby, the rebirth of the GT happened by degrees. Not much has ever been said about the first of the new era GTs. The EA GT 351 was a one-off built as a feasibility study. The big 351 Windsor V8 was quite a tight fit into the EA engine bay. After a whirlwind tour of motor shows, the one and only EA GT was destroyed in a massive crusher. Next in line was the EB GT, released to celebrate the 25th birthday of the first GT in 1967. After a quarter of a century since its appearance on Australian roads, the GT was back. Coming up, the GT with the Batmobile grille. "30 years after the first GT came perhaps the most controversial Australian car of the decade. With its animalistic design and Batmobile grille, the EL GT polarised opinion. Designer of the EL GT, Steve Park.
I really do like the front end of this car. This is where we had to have a statement on the front end. This car had to be seen from down the road. It had to be seen from a 50-metre point of view. What I like most about the GT, the EL GT Falcon, is its totality and its feeling this time around of capturing all of the GT gut feeling from years ago into this one package. And I'm glad that we've actually done this quite controversial grille, if you like.
The grille's probably the most disappointing part of the car, to tell you the truth. I'm not a real fan of the grille on it.
I think it goes with the car. I think, without being rude about it, I think it looks more of a limousine GT than a GT.
Well, it's functional, but it's not conventional. If you understand what I'm talking about, it doesn't look like a GT.
I love it. I really do. As I said, you know, these are a totally different sort of a motor car. These, they're different to drive because obviously, you know, they've been refined an enormous amount in the last 15 or 20 years, but the looks of the new car, I reckon, is very stunning.
There was a good reason for the nose, because one of the things that's important with a car like a GT is respect on the road. Like it or not, it works.
For the makers of the EL GT, with so much history behind it, it was hard to come up with a car that fitted the GT image. Part of that job was the responsibility of an engineering company called Tickford Vehicle Engineering.
What we tried to do literally was imagine what the original GT owner would like today. And I think that's what we've delivered on both occasions. We've watched the original GT owner grow up. We think we know what his thoughts and aspirations are today, and we've delivered that to him.
Also involved in the production of the ELGT was Aussie racer John Bowe.
In motor racing, you're always trying to achieve impossible things like perfect balance in a car, ultimate grip, and I suppose used the knowledge that I've gained over the years with shock absorber technology and springs and anti-roll bars and bushes and all these things that go into making a car handle properly. I suppose I worked with young Steve Hoynville, who was the engineer in charge of the suspension, and to try and achieve those things that I always try and achieve with a racing car. Now, in a racing car, you very rarely get it perfect, but in terms of road cars, I think the ELGT is as perfect as you're going to get.
We think it's well, particularly the GT, it's a privilege to be given the custody of the name. It is the motoring icon in Australia. It is the pinnacle of everyone's idea of what a sporting Australian car should be. The buzzy cars are okay, but there's nothing like the grunt of a V8. I mean, it's just irreplaceable.
The Falcon GT has made its mark. Even today, modern cars are still compared back to the GTs of the 70s. What started as a gamble 30 years ago has become an Australian motoring legend.
The GTs was just a car to have in them days, because in most races given the Holden's a bit of a butt kicking, and to see that and to see my father a part of it, I was pretty proud of that.
You know, the GT was just a leap above every other Falcon we'd ever made. You know, faster, safer, better handling.
The brakes on those cars were so bad. The boys who drove those cars were very brave, and that bravery and lack of common sense of the race driver of those days, I think, is very important.
GTHO Phase 3, fantastic car, like an absolute fantastic car, because it was a real driver's car. Down the street from the workshop there was a stop sign and a bit of a hill up past a convent. If you dumped the clutch on it from a standing start and up the hill, you could wheel spin the car with smoke billowing off the car, first and second gears, and it wouldn't stop till third gear. And at the top of the hill you'd be doing over 100 mile an hour. You know, it's just an amazing car, and like, you know, people can't believe how those things used to go.
You'd have to say incredible, legendary, unprecedented, extraordinary, remarkable, almost a sacred object, really.
How did the GT change the automotive industry in Australia? I would say one word: exciting. It added excitement to the industry.